Julia Roberts used to make $20 million a year, which was more than any other star in Hollywood. $1 million for one movie, but her last big hit was more than 10 years ago. She thinks that movies are so bad that she had to switch to Netflix, which made things even worse. She has had a rare blood disease that could kill her since 2002. No matter what, Hollywood doesn't know what to do with her at age 56. The golden age is over. Julia Roberts was born on October 28, 1967 in Smyrna, Georgia, but her story didn't start like most before she ever stepped foot on a movie set. Her family had already made history. Her parents had as one of the first acting schools in the South to accept both actors and writers, the Atlanta Actors and Writers Workshop. They let black and white kids in during segregation in 1965. Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter Yolanda King into their show that making such a brave choice put them in real danger. People in the area threatened them, and they lost support from neighborhood, but they didn't give up. They taught acting in an old church, and Julie was too young to understand any of the things they did to fight racism. Not at the time, but that place would change the way she saw the world. When Julia was born at Crawford Long Hospital, her parents were having a hard time paying their bills. The hospital bill was $1,286, was a big amount back then, and they couldn't pay it. But then something happened. Something amazing took place. Martin Luther King Jr. and Ketta Scott King stepped in, and they paid the whole price in secret as a way to say thanks for what Julia's parents had done for their daughter, but they never told anyone about it. She didn't tell that story until 2022, when she turned 55. She said Ketta went to the hospital herself on November 2, 1967, to make sure the payment went through. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. The link between a civil rights leader and a future movie star stayed a secret. Julia's early years were not peaceful for many years because her parents got separated in 1971, just before she turned 4. Her mother told her it was because of mental abuse. Her father said she had given up while the family court cases went on for not even a year after that. Julia's mom married a man named Michael. Mose wasn't like her dad. He was angry and worked in factories, and moved the family to cheaper places to live. Sometimes they had to move again just a few months later. Julia, her brother Eric, and her sister Lisa were always walking on eggshells at school. Julia shut down, and teachers noticed she missed. She was scared a lot of the time in class, and she even got a stutter that wouldn't go away. Speech training helped her until she was 9, but acting helped her more, giving her a voice when she felt like she didn't have one. In 1978, when Julia's father died in a terrible accident. Walter died of throat cancer when she was only 10. He had lied about being sick. She tried to keep her safe, but Julia stopped talking because she was so sad. She couldn't sleep, and her grades went down. Her dad had been her safe place, but now he wasn't. He had left her tapes of nighttime stories that he had recorded while he was away. She played them every night until they got old before he died. She was 13 when her father died, and the loss of him left a hole that never really closed. She could deal with her pain and say what she couldn't say in real life while this was going on. Things at home got worse. Her mother's marriage to Moats was falling apart. The cops were called to their house more than once to talk to her siblings as soon as they could, but Julia stayed in 1976. Her half-sister Nancy would have a hard time with drugs and eventually kill herself after 9 years. Julia's mother finally left Mose in 2014. She then filed for divorce. In 1981, she called the marriage violent. After that, she tried to. As she got better, she opened a new acting school and did charity work at a women's shelter. Julia was 14 years old, and even though she had a lot of scars from her past, her mother became very protective of her as she got stronger, especially as Julia had bigger dreams when she was in high school. She wanted to be a vet. Biology was her strong suit, but she felt drawn to something else. Performance. She played the clarinet, was in school plays, and passed out She got the lead role in a play the same day she dissected a frog. Spent hours after school writing stories in her science notebooks. She said she didn't go to his center to watch surgeries, she went to watch the people she was already teaching how to be doctors. Actress, but she didn't know it. In 1985, right after finishing, Julia packed her bags and went to New York City. She had saved $628 and shared a small apartment. She slept in with her sister Lisa when it was cold and the heat wouldn't work. Julia didn't have money for the train, so she walked for miles and ate. She ate cheap food and tried out for 3 or 4 roles every day, but was turned down over. She tried 200 times before she got her first ad for Clearel. The $825 check changed everything. It got her a SAG card, which was her ticket to real life. Auditions back in Georgia. Julia had a strange habit as a child that began when she was 7 years old. She would lock herself in the bathroom and practice giving Oscar speeches. Perfume jars as fake awards, and she even recorded herself to learn how she did it. She wrote down more than 40 talks in a leather journal, even when the power went out and her family had to use candles, so she kept training. It was her brother who told her, "When I win my Oscar, I'll thank you third." And when she did, in 2001, she finally won, and she kept her word. In 1987, her first real acting job was on the TV show Crime Story. She had the flu and a 103 degrees fever, but she did her job. She did the scene in one take because she didn't want to miss it. Everyone on set knew she had something unique, but things didn't get easier overnight. She kept trying out for roles all the time. Got a part in Firehouse and even got burned by a mistake with the special effects. Didn't quit. She worked 16 hours straight at one point. She was so broke that she sold the pocket watch her grandpa gave her to pay the rent. 3 years later, she bought it back for almost 8 times the price. After she became famous while shooting in 1988, Julia, who was 19, met Liam Neeson, who was 35. At first, they didn't get along, but shooting got pushed back, and things changed. They started dating. The next week they moved in together. People in Hollywood didn't like it. She lost a big ad deal and was turned down for a movie part because of the relationship, but she didn't give up. Liam gave her 27 books to read and helped her think of new things. Like in college, the relationship didn't last, but the breakup taught her a lot. The way she felt about Steel Magnolia made her win her first Golden Globe and get picked for an Oscar, but people didn't see the pain that went into that. Roberts didn't get enough sleep to get ready for Shelby's diabetic seizure scene. 47 hours straight wasn't some crazy trick, a co-star suggested it. Roberts to help her get into character, and it worked. But it pushed Roberts to the edge during the emotional scenes. At the funeral home, she locked herself in her hotel room and ate for 3 days. To look as sad as possible, she only wanted saltine crackers and water. Shelby was meant to think that Herbert Ross, the director, didn't make things easy. On January 17, 1989, after a tough take, he yelled at her. It was the he had ever seen Roberts act. He was so upset that she left the set and didn't come back for 6 hours, even though Roberts was in a group cast. The fact that she was only in the movie for 38 minutes made her Oscar nod even more. One of the most powerful parts of the movie, her breakdown after a medical emergency, was shot in just one take. She later said that the tears were real and that she wasn't acting at the time. Being sad, and her love life was growing quickly at the same time. They met around the time she got engaged to Dylan McDermott. During the November 28 first table read of Steel Magnolias 1988, he gave her a card that said, "Your eyes are the most beautiful I've ever seen." 19 days later, he asked her to marry him at the Russian TA room in New York with a ring that belonged to his grandma made of emeralds. They moved into a small apartment in the West Village and paid $1,800 a month. Their neighbors saw them living like any other pair. Julia went shopping for Dylan walked their three-legged rescue dog while they did their shopping, but their relationship went deeper than that when Roberts was about to be fired from Pretty Woman, but McDermott called the director and talked him out of it. Keep her, but keep in mind that fame comes. Roberts' private life became more public, went missing on March 12, 1990, 2 weeks before the opening of Pretty Woman. Before their wedding in June, a newspaper paid their doorman $25,000 to get into their apartment. That was the last blow for her. She realized she couldn't a normal life, and in a strange twist, Pretty Woman almost didn't have her in the first place. The part of Vivian was offered to 7 other actors turned it down before Michelle Pfeiffer on February 7. 1989 Molly Ringwald turned it down in March, and Meg Ryan said no after reading the script. Jennifer Jason Leigh didn't think it made prostitute seem romantic, Daryl Hannah did. Vanessa Galino was too busy to dig deep enough into the role, and Karen Allen wasn't able to. Like the age difference finally, Roberts tried out on April 3 for director Gary. There was something Marshall liked about her, he called it her luminous vulnerability. But Richard Gere liked her too. Wasn't interested. Marshall brought them together at Gere's place. Roberts slipped him a post-it note that said, "Please say yes." That was the moment everything changed. They hit it off right away, which is what convinced Gere to join the film. Became one of the most famous movie pairs of all time, but Roberts wasn't in it. She got paid like a star for Pretty Woman, just $300,000 after taxes and agent fees, which was around. She stayed in a hotel that cost $75 a night for $273 a day. Gere, meanwhile, got $5 million plus a share of the income, which they made in the end. About $12 million because the movie was a huge hit. It came out on March 23, 1990, and made $11.3 million in its first weekend. More than 37 times what she was paid for it, and it played in cinemas for 16 weeks. Her red opera dress ended up making $463 million around the world. Became a fashion trend that led to $30 million worth of sales of copies of the VHS sold too. 8 million books at almost $90 each, and Rodeo Drive saw more tourists. 27%, but Roberts didn't see much of that money because leaders at Disney got bonuses. She learned her lesson by 1993 and in 2000 charged $10 million for the Pelican Brief. She was the first woman to get $20 million for a single part. Brockovich was changing Hollywood salaries for good, but things weren't going as planned. Right in her personal life, after she fell in love with someone else, they met this time on the set of Flatliners with Kiefer Sutherland, and by August 1990, they were engaged and planning a big wedding for June 14. Roberts got a $8,000 dress and $425 Manolo Blahnik shoes in 1991. Be a Hollywood fairy tale, but the story fell apart. Amanda Rice, an exotic dancer who was 24 years old at the time, told the London Sun in May 1991 she was seeing Sutherland and she said he had broken up with Roberts and moved in with her at a hotel. Afterward, she changed her story and said he called Roberts a timid ice princess. Even though they said it was just a friendly conversation, Roberts was taken to the hospital soon after, supposedly for the flu, but people, is it really the flu or is she just stressed out? She was in the hospital for 5 days. She still wore her engagement ring, so it looked like the wedding might still happen. Then came the last but not least. Roberts cancelled everything 3 days before the wedding. Sutherland didn't even hear it from her. Someone else told him while he was moving out of their Beverly Hills home. When she got home, she was with the best friend of Jason, Patrick Sutherland, on the Roberts flew to Ireland with Patrick the day they were meant to get married. The media went crazy over her. Years before she played, she was called the missing bride. One more time on screen, she said she had planned to end things on a nice note, but Sutherland was rude to her after years because he called her first. He praised her for having the guts to leave, even though it was only 2 years since the public mess. Roberts married country singer Lyle Love again. Everyone was shocked, and it only lasted from 1993 to 1995, it felt like a response to everything that had happened before she left. After running away from one wedding and rushing into another, Roberts finally found real in 2002, she married photographer Danny M., and they've been together ever since. They've been together for more than 20 years and have 3 children. Hazel and Phineas are twins. In 2004 and Henry was born in 2007. After all the trouble and sadness, she found peace, which she had never had when she was the most. The 1994 movie I Love Trouble was meant to be about the most famous woman in the world at the time. It wasn't a light and fun romance comedy, it was a behind-the-scenes look at There was no accident that made Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte hate each other. It wasn't just regular tension, it was war from the start, and things went badly. The moment they met, they didn't just fight, they tried to avoid each other. They loved each other so much that they had to use stand-ins for most of their scenes. In an interview with the New York Times, Julia said that they irritated each other. Then she said something that Nolte could be sweet, but he was also completely gross, which shocked everyone. And even seemed to go out of his way to turn people away. That was mean, and Nolte in response, he told the Los Angeles Times that calling someone names wasn't polite. Julia is not a nice person, as he said, and everyone knows that. The movie bombed, reviewers didn't like it, and neither did the public. Drama outside of movies was more interesting than anything that came out, but Julia didn't let the fight or the failure bother her. Hold her back. With My Best Friend's Wedding in 1997, she made a big comeback. The movie was not only a hit, it was a real smash hit. It started with over $21 million in its first weekend and almost $300 million around the world on just It cost $38 million to make, and the twist was that her character didn't get the guy. People liked that it was different, which is why the movie got a 73% review based on Rotten Tomatoes. It was one of the 10 best movies of the year. Then came the news that Julia Roberts was still a star. 1999, that year, she didn't just show herself again, she ruled. In May, she was in the movie Notting Hill with Hugh Grant. $364 million around the world, making it the highest-grossing British movie ever. When, 10 weeks later, she worked with Richard Gere again on Runaway Bride, that movie made $35 million at the box office, making it one of the biggest love hits of all time. It made more than $39 million around the world, making it one of the biggest comedy openers ever. People didn't agree with the reviewers, but they loved seeing Roberts and Gere back together in the same year that Roberts made history for Aaron. She was the first woman in Hollywood to get $20 million for a role. Before that, only big male stars like Tom Cruise and Mel Gibson had been in a single movie. Roberts didn't just cash a big check when she crossed that line. She was risky because the part was important. She played a single mom who helped bring down a strong energy company. It was a big change from romantic movies. The risk paid off. The movie made over $200 million around the world. Roberts won the Oscar for Best Actress for her show That Changed Everything. It was her third nomination, and this time she got the gold. It was a clean sweep with a Golden Globe, a BAFTA, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. She laughed during her Oscar speech that she was going to take her time on stage because she had worked hard for it. Didn't stop there. By 2001, Roberts' movies had made more than $3.9 billion. $1 billion around the world, and she didn't need superhero movies or big brands to do it. Aside from the Ocean's 11 series, she actually didn't do any other titles. Julia Roberts had just married Danny, she kept making hits on her own. By July 2002, she was 35 years old, in love, and fresh off her Oscar win for Erin Brockovich, but after a few weeks she felt like something wasn't right. She was always tired, and her skin had blue and black marks on it for no reason. Danny saw that he pushed her to see a doctor. Tests were done, and the result the news that she had idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, ITP for short, shocked her. Very few adults, 3.3 out of every 100,000, get this rare blood problem. Low platelet numbers are dangerous because they mean your blood can't clot properly. For Julia, it wasn't just scary at that time, it broke her heart because her biggest dream was to be a mom. Even though the news made her feel uncertain, she didn't give up on two. After some time, she had twins named Hazel and Phineas. In 2007, she had her son.